All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Between the Lines. I am the pet man, Matt Morrow. Once again, this is our new show, Between the Lines. Is our show where we talk about the ins and outs, the deep um, look into Charlotte Metro area high school football. StreamYard is telling me that there's a Facebook issue with streaming. So if you're trying to watch on Facebook, you can watch us on YouTube at Matt Morrow 1932, or you can go to my Twitter at Petman704, and we are having the stream there. I'm gonna make a post on Facebook while we do the show, in case that it is not showing on there. But now I see a Facebook comment, so I think we're good. That must have been some old news from StreamYard, our streaming partner here. But anyway, tonight we have a very talented young man from Forest Hills High School. He had an excellent game on Friday that broke a school record. I believe it was 379 rushing yards on 32 carries. And when you look at the film, it looks, I know we played college football 26, we played Madden. It didn't even look like that. It looked like something that was out of this world that you can't even do on a video game, man. And his coach sent me his stats, and I said, "Look, I got to talk to this young man because he's been a breakout player this year, and I'm really high on him. And I'm glad to have him on the show with us tonight." His name is Kylan Polk. He is a running back at Forest Hills, and we're gonna bring him on the show right now. Kylan, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How about you?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you here on our new show, Between the Lines.
Yes, sir.
First of, yeah, absolutely, man. First of all, how did this game happen? I mean, that is just an incredible stat line, man. Take us through, what you were seeing out there on Friday.
Yeah, really, it was a dog fight for real. Like, I didn't want to, I just wanted to put my team in a better position to win. So we get first quarter. I start running good. We was down by 10. Second quarter is when I started turning it up a little bit. And I think I had by second quarter, I had like 130 yards or something. Then third quarter come, I see the defense, they ain't changed nothing. They ain't add nothing to the box. And really, it was just, I want to shout out to my old lineman. Like, my old lineman was getting it done. I want to shout out to my coach, too, because let me carry the ball 32 times. That's not normal, but like, yeah, I just want to shout out them.
Yeah, man. I mean, like to your point, these days you see a lot of split carries with two different running backs and a lot of passing.
Yes,
When
sir.
you see 32 carries, it's more like a wing T team. But you guys aren't that. I mean, you guys are spread, pro set.
Yeah,
And then you didn't play a bad team. You played Community School of Davidson, and like you said, they were winning the game. So it's not like you did this against a lower tier team, which makes it even more impressive to me, man. So
yes, sir.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know you run track. How has track kind of helped you have this success in football?
Track, just staying down, racing all the top guys and throughout Union County. It just helped me like when I get on the field, it's like it's not too many track stars out there. So that really just helped me. It helped my stamina. That's how I went 4 quarters, 32 carries, and I wasn't even tired. Like just it just helped me go on and go on, like just through the dog fights and all that. So,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you are a heck of a track runner too. What is it, the
thank you.
100 that you have a really good time in?
Yeah, it's my 100. I ran a 10.8 in the 100. I went to
Wow.
states my freshman year and my sophomore year.
Wow, that's impressive, man. We got a couple of comments here. Young man, our running back at Mooresville, Jadarius McComb. Where did it go? There it is. He says, "Congrats to you." And
Appreciate
Dana Bullock, another one of our fans, congratulations on the good game, Young King.
appreciate it.
There
Appreciate
you
it.
go. And then another congratulations from Luke Zabo. So a lot of people congratulating you on what you did Friday. But my question is, how are you gonna follow that
Uh,
up?
You know, I'm just gonna continue to play how I played. Continue to do what I do and put my team in a better position to win. I don't really, you feel me? Like I'm just out here trying to play, trying to win, trying to score as many points as I can every time. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For those that don't know and that are watching, I can tell you, Kylan is a guy that's, of course, very fast. We talk about his track speed, but he can also catch the ball out of the backfield, man. Where did your receiving skills come from?
Really, I don't know. Like last year, I was playing a little bit of running back, but it was a running back in front of me. So my coach, Coach D's, he wanted to find me other ways to get to the ball, and I'm fast. He wanted to see if I could receive too. So I started playing receiver, and I haven't stopped ever since.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's impressive the stuff you do on the field on Friday nights. Um, so from a team aspect, you guys are undefeated on the season.
So
Um, where can you guys go from there, man? How long can this undefeated streak run, and what are your goals for the rest of the season?
we trying to take it all the way. We trying to go undefeated. We trying to go all the way to states. We trying to go as far as it can go. Like we trying to ride to the wheels fall off.
Very good, man. Very good. Now, do you have a yardage goal this season? Did you have like 1,000 yard goal, 2,000 yards, or anything like that?
Yeah, before the season, my goal was 1,500 all purpose, but right now I set a new goal. I'm trying to get the school record. I'm trying to get 2.4. Yeah,
Wow.
2,400 yards. That's what I'm
Wow.
trying.
Well, I mean, the way you're playing, man, I think you can get there. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Um, you shouted out your offensive line earlier. Is there anyone else you want to thank for the success you're having so far this season?
My receivers blocking, blocking their tail off. I want to thank my coach the most. My coach, he pushed me every day. Make sure I'm not slacking, make sure I'm not being lazy. Ever since my freshman year, he been pushing me be better because he already knew I could be good. Just the work ethic needed to match the talent. And when that happens, what I'm saying, great things happen.
Well said. Well said, man. Well, this is my first time meeting you. And, like I said, I've been a fan since last season. Well spoken, very talented. I'm going to put you out there as much as I can because you can play. And I think you got a future, not only the rest of your high school career, but in college. So
Sure.
keep up the good work, man. And hopefully I'll see you soon in person.
Sure, definitely.
All right. That's Colin Polk, guys. Colin, thanks for the time tonight, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. All right, what a tremendously talented and well-spoken young man right there from Forest Hills High School. That's down in Union County, and like I said, they're undefeated this year, and they're doing some big things. And we're going to talk about them, and we're going to talk about a number of Charlotte Metro area teams here on Between the Lines. So we're going to run the intro here in just a second, and then we're going to get going on the show because we got a lot to discuss that's been going on here in the Charlotte Metro area. So stay tuned.
You see them on CFI. We on it all night. 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 Touchdown! Highlights and rankings. They cover the toughest there in America. Charlotte football insiders. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Or you can catch them on that podcast. All over the state with Hoof, Mount Creek, Myers Park, Audrey Kell, West Charlotte, Olympic, Providence Day, Mountain Island Charter, and so many more. CFI, we on it all night. 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 CFI, we on
Yes. That is the intro for Between the Lines. Once again, welcome to Between the Lines. If you're just joining us, we had just had an interview with Colin Polk, the running back at Forest Hills High School. Very talented young man, rushed for 379 yards on 32 carries. Incredible numbers this past Friday night. A school record in their victory over, oh my gosh, Community School of Davidson. Yeah. So let's get this off the screen and let's get the show on the road. And I'll get to your comments here in just a second as soon as I remember how to run my. There we go. All kind of technical issues going on, man. It's crazy. All right. Let's go to some comments here because there was some of you came in on the interview. Kim Watts. It is Tuesday. This is our Tuesday night show. It's just me. I know some people were looking for the illustrious Braden Billups. He will be on the Wednesday show, Football Focus Weekly, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I know everybody kind of enjoyed us getting a little rowdy. We sorted all that out. We're, like I said, we're a dysfunctional family sometimes. So appreciate that. Let's see. Brandon Bevilacqua, big lineman from Mount Pleasant. He says Mount Pleasant versus South Point this week. Big game for the Patriotism Bowl. Oh, okay. That's always a great event. For those that, don't know what we're talking about, there's always a military game that's kind of played to honor, the troops for all they do, in the, different armed forces here in the United States. And the Patriotism Bowl, the teams that play in it get special military style uniforms. And, they honor, a couple of specific people for the coin toss and things of that nature. So that's really cool. That's really cool, man. And that is a big game. That's a big game for sure, man. Let's see here. Dakota McCann, good to see you. Karen Belk, as always, good to see you as well. All right, so tonight, game analysis, some team shout-outs. Petman players will come out maybe tomorrow morning. Still looking through some film on those. And, of course, your comments will be featured tonight on Between the Lines. So, all right, first of all, the CMS Best of Last, Week 4 rankings. Put those out, I believe, yesterday on social media. No changes in the top 6. Huff, West Charlotte, Myers Park, Mallard Creek, Palisades, and Independence. And, I know we're going to do the rapid review tomorrow night on Football Focus Weekly. But Huff going up to Virginia, of course, was very impressive getting that win, even though, they had some touchdowns called back and a ton of penalties called against them, a little bit of home cooking for the Virginia Highland Springs, but they could not stop the Huff Huskies. They remain at number 1. West Charlotte with a tough loss down at South Point, Rock Hill, 10-7 in overtime. No offensive touchdowns in that game. West Charlotte scored on a kickoff return by Davion Jones. South Point scored on an interception return for touchdown by Jazavian Currents. And then South Point kicked the field goal in overtime, and West Charlotte had their field goal blocked in overtime, hence the difference in that game. Excuse me. Myers Park with a big win over Providence. But there was some debate. Some people I talked to this weekend. West Charlotte and Myers Park. Should West Charlotte fall below Myers Park? Some polls have moved Myers Park ahead of West Charlotte. The way I look at it, if those two teams played, who do I think would win? That's how I settle things like that. Hypothetically, if West Charlotte and Myers Park played right now, I would favor West Charlotte. So that's why I kept West Charlotte at 2. Despite them being 1-2, they lost to Grimsley and South Point, 2 state title contenders, and Myers Park undefeated on the season. Mallard Creek went down to Georgia to play Grayson, the number 5 team in the nation, and had a tough loss. But I'm not going to hold that against them. I think from the information I got about Grayson, that result probably would have happened to just about any team here in our area. So I trust what people tell me on that one. Palisades had a tough loss to Clover, 21-19. It was their first loss on the season. However, Independence won, defeating Charlotte Christian 35-34 in a wild game. this past Friday night. Once again, this was another debate when I was talking to people trying to decide, who should be where. And once again, like I said, my theory, if they played, who would win? And my thought was Palisades would win against Independence right now. So that's why I got Palisades at 5, Indy at 6. Now, moving up 2 spots is Chambers, who was undefeated on the season. And they just happened to play Palisades this week in a huge game here locally in Charlotte. So we're going to get some answers about Chambers and, I mean, even further than that, Palisades too. In a huge game. We're planning to be there right now. I have submitted, because we have these new media processes, I have submitted a request to cover the Chambers game, because it's at Chambers and they have one of those media policies. So if we get approved, we will be there and cover the game. I have not received that just yet. Speaking of Independence, Shay Kwan, our guy, Shay shot him on YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe him. He's doing some great highlights. He will be at Lake Norman in Independence this Friday. So you guys will have a great highlight from him in a game that I think is going to be another good one. And we'll talk about that game in depth tomorrow on Football Focus Weekly for sure. That's one of our featured games this week, along with Palisades and Chambers. Ardrey Kell at 8. I didn't change them. They did beat Marvin Ridge, who was undefeated, 15-3. Really impressive defensive performance by Ardrey Kell. But I wanted to, kind of really reward Chambers. And I feel like, if Chambers played Ardrey Kell, right, like I said, that's my tiebreaker. Felt like Chambers would be favored over Ardrey Kell right now. Butler drops 2 spots after a tough loss on the road at Irmo. And now Butler gets to play Providence Day. It's not a fun part of the schedule right now, but we'll see, how they can bounce back from that. And then number 10, North Meck. We sang the praises of North Meck on this show last week, and I sat there and went through the schedule thinking that they'd be favored to possibly go 5-0 starting the season. It's not the case. Hunter Huss came in and beat them 11-7. They really did a good job of shutting down the North Meck offense, which has been a really, really strong piece of their good start to the season. North Meck played 2 different quarterbacks, trying to find a way to get some things going, but it just didn't click. And I remember I saw Coach Noreen was saying that they didn't have a good week of practice and they kind of took Hunter Huss lightly, and that, kind of, bit him in the butt, so to speak. So there you go. But that's the top 10 this week. We got a couple of comments here that came in. Karen Belk saying, how do we get some of that home cooking at Indy? Yeah, I know. The officials are always something else there. Morgan Pascal says, I always have approval on IBM Drive. Oh, okay. Well, if I go up there and I say, Morgan, approve me, is that going to work? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure we won't have any issues. Dana Bullock, you should have access to all the games. These media processes are, they are what they are, and I know it's not anything that is, too difficult to deal with. It's just, what we have to do, because there are a lot of people that, unfortunately take advantage of, field access, and they, they're trying to profit off, what these schools and teams and players do on the field. Without getting into too many specifics, well, you guys know how it is these days. You get monetized, or people try to get monetized on social media, and if you can get access to the field, and you have a decent camera, you can try to make a profit. And there's had to be some kind of regulation coming behind all of the different photographers and videographers and influencers that have come up throughout the past couple of years. I mean, I remember when I started doing this, at Carolina Varsity, oh my gosh, 10 years ago now. I feel old even saying that. We literally used to be like us, the TV people, and maybe somebody from the Observer on the sideline. And that was it. And everybody knew what the rules were and not to get in the way and have respect for each other and all that. But now, with, the advances in technology and all that, anybody's coming out here with a camera. And, it's all games. It's not just, the big games. I mean, some of it is, students at the school doing it, which, I think is great. But, there are some people out here just literally trying to profit off of, high school football. And, I'm not going to knock anybody, knock anybody's hustle or anything, but there has to be regulations behind it. And I'm glad to see, these regulations are coming into play now. So, all right. Jason McRory sharing that RGK will play Chambers next week. So, that's great. That's great. I love to see, these city games like this, especially, with our top 10 teams, because that really kind of, helps bear some of this out. And, teams get a feel of where they are. And, you start now, some people have started looking at playoffs, which I think is way too early for that. But, you start to get an idea where, you may, line up, so to speak, in some of these matchups, potential playoff matchups, way on down the road. On the right side of the screen, I'm not going to go through every team, but I want to highlight South Met getting the win over Valentine Ridge. They put up 51 points in that one. I saw their quarterback really played well on that, had some great stats. Olympic got their first win over West Meck 20-0. Now, I really bumped up Hopewell because I had to sit down and start looking at what they've been doing compared to the performances of the teams that they've played so far. They played an undefeated Statesville team this past Friday and had them on the ropes. They only lost by 3, 24-21. That was really impressive to me. That combined with some of the past, games that they played, and I started looking at it as a whole and where they fit in the, kind of ranking criteria. That's why they moved up 4 spots. Rocky River got their first win. We were there last week. They defeated Berry 22-7. Let's see who else stands out here. East Meck. East Meck got their first win. They defeated Garinger in a pretty tight game. It was kind of back and forth. East Meck ended up winning 21-16 in that game. So shout out to the Eagles for getting their first win on the season. So Luke says, you think Rocky River will beat Providence if they play right now? Well, let me explain that. So when I kind of take a look at this thing as a whole, and that's kind of what I did on the right side. The right side criteria kind of shifted a little bit because I started looking at the whole picture because I was just so conflicted on where these teams are. So it's kind of more of a trend happening. I think Hopewell is trending up. Providence kind of trending down at the moment. But that's going to be fluid week to week, especially on the right side. I think the left side, those guys, are playing their way, to a higher ranking up or down. When you're looking at teams that don't have as good of a record, and those two have a similar record right now. So Rocky River won last week. Providence lost, so you just kind of go with that, the results, the film, the information you get, and that's where it stands right now. So, the good thing is these things are settled on the field, not by my rankings, but that's how I feel right now. That's how I feel right now. So that's a good question. That's a fair question right there. Let's see. Karen Belk's got a message here. Found out today Butler hasn't had a home game this year. The field being worked on. Okay. Yeah, so there's a couple schools that are not playing home games this year. But right now, I think some of these fields are going to be ready later on this season. But Butler, their field's being worked on. South Mecklenburg is not going to have a home game at all due to construction, and I believe Providence is in that same boat as well. So some of these games are being played on different high school campuses. So if you're playing one of those teams, always kind of check to see where that game is being played, because it may not be, at that school, to be scheduled somewhere else. And they try to get the message out there, but sometimes it doesn't always, get out there like it should. Okay. We'll let the crew talk about the best of last next week, tomorrow night on Football Focus Weekly. So there'll be more to come on that. The Dirty Dozen, our regional poll, or my regional poll, I should say, updated that as well. I wanted to bring that on Between the Lines because I don't really get to talk about it that much on Football Focus Weekly because we get into all of our, different discussions. But in the dozen, no changes in the top four. Providence Day, like I said, I haven't said yet. Providence Day defeated Charlotte Catholic in a big game in the private school ranks, 32-7. So they stay at number 2. So Huff, Providence Day, West Charlotte, Myers Park, the top 4. Then Weddington getting back into the win column in a big way, 47-7 over Monroe, moves them up to 5. Mallard Creek drops 1 spot to 6. Crest at 7 had another big win. They've got a big one this week we'll talk about tomorrow against Weddington. That's going to be a heck of a game. Ashbrook moves up 1 spot. They get a close win on the road, 21-17 over Northwest Cabarrus. Mooresville moves up 1 with an impressive victory over A.L. Brown. And then 3 new teams in the Dirty Dozen this week. Lake Norman with their great start to the season. South Point out of Belmont, who we mentioned earlier, they're playing Mount Pleasant this week. And then Independence with their win over Charlotte Christian puts them back into the Dirty Dozen at number 12. And then on the edge, we got Charlotte Catholic, Kings Mountain, who is undefeated this season in Cleveland County. J.M. Robinson plays their way back into the edge with a big win at A.C. Reynolds, 49-21. Statesville, who's undefeated on the season, and then Forest Hills out of Union County, undefeated on the season as well. They're now on the edge of the Dirty Dozen. So, and then down at the bottom, if you can't see it, the Dirty Dozen is our regional rankings that include teams in Mecklenburg, Gaston, Cleveland, Union, Iredell, and Cabarrus counties. So if you're wondering if a certain real good team is not in the dozen, you got to be in those eligible counties to be considered for the regional poll. So really good football being played, a little bit of movement going on. We're still, hashing out, what tiers teams are in, but I think within the area, this is a pretty good snapshot of the top teams in the area right now. Some teams that we're used to seeing in there, like Monroe's kind of off to a tougher start. They played a very difficult schedule, but that's going to pay off, when they get, into conference play down the line, for sure, especially with the RPI rankings. Monroe's going to have a high RPI. That's going to help with their playoff seeding. So that's the dozen for this week. We'll talk more about that tomorrow on Football Focus Weekly as well, where the guys will tell me if I'm right or wrong. Most likely wrong. All right, so shout outs. Teams who played great last week. First of all, Cuthbertson out of Union County. They got 2 wins in a row after a tough start. They had a shutout victory over Cox Mill last week, 14-0. When Cuthbertson's playing well, they run the football and they play really, really impressive defense. That's been their formula for success the last couple of years, and they're getting that going again now after a tough start. Mooresville offense, I kind of mentioned it in the previous slide in the Dirty Dozen. They beat A.L. Brown 52-13. Quarterback Brody Norman had a great game, perfect throwing the ball, 13-13, over 200 yards, and I believe, was it 5 touchdown passes? 4 of those went to Dominic Morin and Gavin Barber, tight end. So really good offensive performance for the Blue Devils. Of course, Forest Hills, they're kind of, usually you talk about Forest Hills Monroe jockeying for, kind of that top spot in the old 2A classification down in Union County, but they are a really good team on both sides of the ball. I've seen them in person at the Jamboree, preseason Jamboree. We talked to Colin Polk to start the show off. Of course, really talented kid at the running back spot. But they got some other guys. Kai Finazzi on the D line, quarterback Josiah Oxendine is a really good player. So they're not a one-man show by any means. And they look really good. Lake Norman, who we talked about on the previous slide, undefeated start's been strong. They got a test this week at Independence. We'll talk about in depth tomorrow on Football Focus Weekly. Piedmont down in Union County, 2 wins in a row. They had a dominant win over East Rowan. It didn't surprise me that they won the game. The margin that they won the game by really, really was impressive. 47-7. Wow. That's a good win, man. East Rowan, I believe East Rowan, it was 2-0 going in that game. So I think that's East Rowan's first loss. So shout out to Piedmont, man, and Coach Dillard. They're doing a great job getting off to a good start. South Rowan, another team having a bounce back season here, 3-0 to start the season. They got a back that's having a really, really good start to the year. We'll talk about on Pep Man's Players tomorrow on Football Focus Weekly. Back-to-back 200 rushing yard games. I believe his name is Nick Wolf. I don't have those notes in front of me, but yeah, he's a big reason why that South Carolina is really playing well. Chambers, they're continuing to roll. They shut out Harding last week, 31-0. That's their first shutout on the season. Of course, we talked about it earlier. They're going to play Palisades this week in a showcase game that hopefully we are at. Of course, they're going to shout out Huff. They overcame that long road trip and the officials to stay undefeated. And then once again, shouting out East Mac. They got their first win of the season over Garinger last week. All right. You guys got any other shout outs? Feel free to throw them up and we'll shout them out. It can be a team. It can be a player. It can be a coach for that matter. We don't get a lot of coach shout outs. So, let us know who stood out and, we'll get them some love. All right. Now it's time for the deep dive. These are the games to watch on Friday night, man. All right, East Mac and North Mac. Can East Mac go to 2-2? Can they get 2 in a row? North Mac coming off an unexpected loss. I expect them, to be ready to play this week. Sometimes you get, upset. It kind of wakes you up a little bit. You might think a little bit that, you're better than you are, and you get, kind of a reality check. East Mac going into that game with some positive momentum, hopefully they're able to capitalize on it. There should be some good football up in Huntersville on Friday. All right, we mentioned it earlier, Butler going up to Providence Day. Can Butler pull the upset? Now, how many times have we said that through the years? Not very often. Typically, Butler's the favorite, in most of their games, but this year, Providence Day is really looking strong, undefeated on the season, just coming off that big win against Charlotte Catholic. The key for Butler, if they're going to pull an upset here, they got to find a way to run the football. And it's kind of the same formula we talked about with Catholic last week. If Catholic, could have ran the ball and kept Providence Day's offense off the field, it could have been possibly a better game. But the difference here is I think Butler defensively, can, match up a little bit better against a Providence Day spread offense. So they have a chance of getting a couple of stops, getting the ball back, and then finding a way to run the ball, grind the clock, and make it an ugly, kind of dog fight. And see if they can pull that out, in the fourth quarter. So that'll definitely be one to watch. I have my eyes on that one. Before I go to the next one, we got a couple comments that came in, a couple shout outs. Luke Zabo, J.M. Robinson beating AC Reynolds. Won't say anything about the officials. We got some home cooking going on in some of these out of town games, man. You know, it reminds me of last year when Mallard Creek went up to Watauga, and I was watching the game, you know, playoff game, and I'm watching it, and like every big Mallard Creek play, there was a flag, like literally anything over 10 yards, and I'm just shaking my head and laughing like, you gotta be kidding me. I think it was at least 4 touchdowns called back. So you get out of town, you know, in the mountains or out of state, man, you know, you just got to go take it. You got to go take it. That's what J.M. Robinson did. I mean, 49-21, that's getting it done, man. That's impressive. Morgan Pascal, I appreciate those kind words. You know, I always said I was going to keep doing this as long as, you know, one kid appreciates it. When the kids stop appreciating it, that's when I'll stop, you know. But it's grown into something that I never thought it would become. You know, we have a lot of fun doing it. You know, when you got people that are good and they do it out of the kindness of their heart, that's what we got. That's what we got at CFI. You know, we don't pay anybody formally. You know, I try to do nice things for the guys every now and then, but yeah, it's for the kids. You know, the shows are kind of more for the adults. You know, I know the kids watch too, but we do the shows for the fans. We do the Friday nights for the kids and the coaches. You know, I was actually talking to my wife earlier about, you know, this whole coaches pay thing. And, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy for what these coaches do and the time they give up and they invest. And they don't get nearly enough compensation for that. And we just try to enhance that too, you know, and help coaches promote the kids. And, you know, we do some stuff behind the scenes to help coaches with the programs and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate that, Morgan. Let's see. Travis shouting out Kings Mountain versus Catholic Thursday and Friday. Yeah, JV varsity. Yeah. Looking forward to both games. Have nephews. Okay, good deal. Who's your nephews? Yeah. Those are, now you're a long time Kings Mountain fan. Yeah. They played a classic playoff game several years ago. Was it 8 overtimes? Kings Mountain at Charlotte Catholic. Oh my gosh. I remember we were coming back from a playoff game, covering one, and we had somebody at Kings. Was it Cherie? It might have been Cherie because she loved going to Charlotte Catholic. Cherie Glenn, for those that don't know, my old partner, rest in peace. But I remember I called her. I said, "How'd your game go?" She said, "I'm still here." I said, "What?" It was 8 overtimes. It was. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's something right there. Hopefully you get another game like that, man. That was awesome. All right. Monroe Sun Valley, 2 talented Union County teams off to slower starts. Both of these teams 1-2 on the season, but trending in different ways. Sun Valley got their first win last week, 45-0 over Parkwood. Monroe, 2 tough losses, both to West Charlotte and Weddington. So really interesting game right there. I think that's going to be a really good game, honestly. There's be a lot of talent on both sides. And interesting to see how that one comes out. I have to keep my eyes on the score updates there. Forest Hills at Cuthbertson. We just talked about Forest Hills, obviously. Can they stay undefeated? Now, Cuthbertson, this is an interesting game because Cuthbertson plays really strong defense, really against the run. They are really good against the run. And we just had Colin Polk on from Forest Hills to start this show. He just rushed for 372 yards. Man, I tell you, if there was a game that I knew was going to be hard-hitting, physical, entertaining, Forest Hills and Cuthbertson's it. I mean, they got a great running game coming in there. Cuthbertson's got a really good run defense. That's going to be some pad popping football on Friday night, man. That's going to be fun. I am really interested to see how that game goes, for sure. Let's see here. A couple more comments. Coach Marsh, defense coordinator at Barry. Barry, I said it on the Friday night show. Of course, we were there last week. Barry's defense played very well last week. I am planning to go to Palisades at Chambers, but as I told everybody watching earlier, we have not got media approved yet. So that's the plan right now. If we don't get approved, we got a couple backup options lined up potentially. So also Shaquan, our guy Shay shot him on YouTube. He will be at Lake Norman at Independence, so he'll have some great highlights from that one. So that's where we will be, hopefully. We'll see. Yeah, that's one of our backup ones. That's one of the backup options. We're going to talk about that game tomorrow on Football Focus Weekly. And I agree. That's going to be a huge game. Number 3 and number 4 in the CMS Best of Last. So really, really talented on both sides of the ball. Kind of like what I was just saying with Forest Hills and Cuthbertson. Myers Park has been running the ball really, really well so far this season behind a greatly improved offensive line. And Josh Falzerano in the backfield, my gosh. He had a highlight he put out on social media where he just flat ran over a Providence defender at the goal line, and it was impressive. And what makes it even more impressive is Josh is not the biggest kid, but I told him, I said, man, you've been in the weight room. So if Mallard Creek can stop Myers Park's run game, I think that's the key. And they make Myers Park go one-dimensional. Now, we know with Brody Keefe and Chaz Portis, and then Landon Moss at tight end, I like him a lot too. They can throw the ball, but anytime, and Coach, you know this, anytime you can make a team one-dimensional, you can really play, into, the scheme that you want to, put out there and dictate, how the game goes. So, yeah, we'll really get deep into that matchup tomorrow night on Football Focus Weekly. Let's see, Mizzle. Oh, wait a minute. Where did Mizzle go? There it is. Just got done with our IG High School live show. Okay. All right. I didn't even know you were doing that. Well, I appreciate it. I sent you a message, man. Do you want to come on the show? Let me know. Let's see. Kendall Rudolph. Good to see you, man. You can always watch the playback, Kendall. It don't go nowhere. So I appreciate you being here. Let's see. Brandon Brooks says, my son Taj Brooks will be playing this week for Chambers. He did not play last week, but he is 100. Well, good to hear. Good to hear. I know he had a really good game a couple weeks ago. We highlighted him on Pet Man's Players, as a matter of fact. And I did not know Zaire was his brother. So it's good to see that talent runs in the family, man. Like I told everybody earlier, I plan on being there. I just got to get approved. So hopefully I'll see you. All right. Back on the deep dive, South Meck and RG Kell. Both teams are trending up. RG Kell just coming off the big win over Marvin Ridge, who was undefeated coming into that game. Really good defensive performance. And then South Meck putting up 51 this past week on Valentine Ridge, their second win in a row. They previously defeated Community School Davidson in a close one up at CSD. So it's good old traditional South Charlotte rivalry right there. Should be a good one over in Valentine on Friday. Speaking of Valentine Ridge at Garinger. This is going to be one I'll watch. And this is also on the short list if we don't get approved to go to Chambers. The thing to watch here, it's really intriguing. So Valentine Ridge has not had their first win yet as a school. Last year, they did not win a game. They came close against Berry, but they don't have a win yet. And now the one to watch, Does Valentine Ridge get their first win, or does Garinger get to 500 at 2-2? Garinger at 1-2 on the season. Tough loss to East Mac last week, 21-16. One of these teams is going to be extremely happy on Friday night. For sure. Let's see. Kendall, let me know what you're talking about, man. I'm not sure. I'm not privy to what's going on at Providence, so let us know what's going on. Speaking of Providence, Providence at West Charlotte. This is a game to watch. But I put how do the Lions bounce back, but really I can put that for both teams. Both teams coming off tough losses in different fashions. Providence losing to Myers Park, and then West Charlotte losing to South Point out of Rock Hill. So, Kendall, I see your message, man. Good gracious. All right, we'll see. We'll see if that's the case. Now, I will say, when West Charlotte played Monroe, coming off a loss, they had a really strong response, and they beat Monroe by a big margin. So, I can see where you're coming from with that. But I am interested to see, how West Charlotte bounces back. Coach Griner put out a message on Twitter, saying that he still has confidence in his team, and he believes that, they're going to be fine and, playing championship contenders. So, I agree. I agree with him. I think they'll be just fine. I really do. Let's see. Marvin Ridge at Ashbrook. Ashbrook defeating Northwest Cabarrus last week, 21-17 on the road. Receiver Riley Hicks had a big game for the Green Wave, 2 touchdowns in that game, helping Ashbrook get the job done. I believe these teams have played previously. No, I'm thinking about Ashbrook Forest Hills, another Union County team. They played last year. But I think this is a good game for both teams here. Marvin Ridge, a disciplined team, well-coached team that's going to not beat themselves. And then for the Green Wave, they love to run the football, but they showed last week they can beat you over the top as well. So that's going to be a game I'm watching very closely to see, who will come out and win that one. And then the final deep dive game to watch, Corvian at West Mecklenburg. Corvian has challenged themselves by playing several CMS schools in a non-conference here. And it's going to be another good test to see, where they stack up versus, Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. For those that don't know, Corvian is a charter school that made the state championship game last year in 1A. This year they're in 2A in the new reclassification. And they've been very competitive. They beat Harding 31-18. They lost to Butler 14-9. I believe they had a bye week last week. So this is their third game against a CMS school. So we'll see how that one shakes out. We'll see if West Met can get on the board and get into the win column this season. All right. Luke with a comment here says, South Met running back Quinn Rucker, Audrey Kell running back Tristan Rivest are 2 great running backs. Well, I'll tell you, Quinn Rucker, usually plays tight end, but I know he's been moved to the running back spot. He had a really good game against Community School Davidson 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen his stats from last week, but Quinn Rucker is a really good athlete, man. He really is. And I had a chance to talk with him at the conference media day. Really well-spoken young man, intelligent, really good player. And then Tristan Rivest, I don't know if he's been hurt. I haven't seen him on the stats for Audrey Kell the past couple of games. So I've seen the young man, I believe it's Grant Huffman, the running back for Audrey Kell the past couple of weeks. But I love Tristan. I covered him in depth last season for Prep Red Zone North Carolina, and we got him ranked in the state. And I think he's a really talented back for sure. So good call right there, Luke. Lanesha Dowd, good to see you. I was wondering where you were. You one of the Tuesday night regulars. Oh man, but good to see you. Good to see you. Good stuff. Good stuff. Jason McRory, thank you for the update here. So he says Rucker was out last week and Reves should be back. So, okay, good deal. Like I tell people all the time, we don't get injury reports in high school, so it makes some of this stuff a little more difficult when you try to, get into it and break it down and things like that. So appreciate that. That's good to know there, Jason. Let's see. Miss Hicks, good to see you. I just finished talking about your son. I appreciate you watching here on Between the Lines, the deep dive into Charlotte Metro High School football. Just a reminder, tomorrow we will be on Football Focus Weekly, same time, same outlets, 8 p.m. Me and the guys. Some people really wanted to see Coach Billups. I'll pass that on to him, but y'all just gonna blow his head up. So that's just gonna make it harder for me to try to keep him under control tomorrow. But we should have him. We should have Coach Dub, the producer. We'll see who else will be on the show. But excited for tomorrow, for sure. Kendall Rudolph says, "Give me the G code over the Ridge." I believe. Okay. Well, I'm sure Coach Jupiter will appreciate your support. That's for sure. Let's see. Luke, hey, I ain't been able to control him for years. I've given up. I've given up. We tried to keep him in the comments to where he can just kind of do his thing. But then, we said, well, let's let him try to come back on screen. And you saw what happened. So we're just going to roll with it. Yes, Ms. Dowd. Yeah, we're ready for Friday too. Like I said several times, we're planning to come to Chambers this week. We just got to get approved by the media procedure. So hopefully we'll be there. And if you see us, feel free to say hello. And let me know who your son is. I'm sure you told me before, but there's so many parents I talk to, I can't keep it straight. We'll try to get a good picture of whoever your son is. So, all right. To finish up Between the Lines tonight, just a reminder, registration is open for the Queen City Senior Bowl. If you have a senior, they must apply to be considered to be selected to play in the game. The eligible counties for the bowl game are Mecklenburg, Cabarrus, Union, Gaston, Cleveland, Iredell, and Rowan. Rowan is new this year to the eligible county list. And the reason why we do eligible counties, we do not have lodging for the game. So basically, kids have to drive to the practice site and then drive back home every day during bowl week, Monday through Thursday. So that's why we limit it to a certain area. Basically, it's an hour radius from Charlotte. That's where we look at it. So we do reserve the right to allow schools outside of those counties to participate on a case-by-case basis. So if there is a senior in, say, Lincoln County or whatever, go ahead and apply. What has happened in the past is we pick the team, and then certain players decide not to play because of injury, or they're going to enroll early in college and they don't want to risk injury. Any number of things can happen. So then we will backfill from players that applied and did not get selected initially. So and then also any coaches interested in coaching, please contact myself. We have a meeting coming up very soon with the Queen City Senior Bowl Executive Committee, and things like where's the game at will be decided in that meeting. So stay tuned for a lot of information to come out about this year's bowl game. This is the 7th annual Queen City Senior Bowl, and this game, I will tell you, does it for the right reasons. You will see some postseason All-Star games come out, and they don't promote I mean, I'm just gonna say they don't promote the kids. They don't promote the purpose. It's just kind of a thing they do because they've been doing it for so long. And sometimes things like that get stale and they're not energetic or a great experience. And the Queen City Senior Bowl tries to make this as great of an experience as possible. I think if you can talk to former players in the game, they will tell you that it was worth the time and it was something that they'll always remember. And you can go back and watch them. Can't say that for every postseason All-Star game. That's a fact. That's not just me talking. That's a fact. So anyway, get off that soapbox. If you need the link for the Queen City Senior Bowl to apply, let me know. I put it out on social media, but I know it's kind of been buried, from the initial announcement. So we'll put that back out there. So seniors that have not applied can apply. It's a pretty easy application process. It takes maybe a minute to fill out the application. All right. With that being said, that is Between the Lines, our deep dive into Charlotte Metro area high school football. I appreciate everybody watching tonight. Great comments. Join us again tomorrow for the big show, Football Focus Weekly, right here on these same outlets at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We get into the big games, break down the best to last and Dirty Dozen rankings even more. And, you see all the other guys, and I'll try to keep everybody on a good leash. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow night.